Well, with Nashville on our minds, we should be in harmony. We'll see which teams have those engines singing a sweet tune this weekend. Jeff, welcome in. How are you?
Doing great, guys. How are you this weekend?
We're doing fantastic, What about Nashville coming up this weekend? What do you like about this race? What do you like about this track?
Well, I love the market. I love them being in Nashville. I think the sport belongs there. I'm anxious for them to get that old Nashville short track redone and rebuilt so we can go back there. But I think the Nashville Super Speedway has filled in pretty well. The last 3 years, they've had some good racing there. It's about a mile, 1.33 oval, I think, shaped a little bit like Richmond, much bigger, a little bit of banking. So they're going to be going pretty fast. I think pole speed's about 160 miles an hour or so. But, yeah, they've had 3 Cup races the last few years, and they've all been pretty competitive. So I look for a good show on a pretty fast oval this weekend.
So is it their plan with Nashville to go to that short track you mentioned once whatever work they're doing there, whenever that's done? Is that the eventual plan for NASCAR?
Yeah, that's the eventual plan. Speedway Motorsports bought the old Nashville Fairgrounds track a few years ago, and they've been trying to get approval to take that track and basically rebuild it into a new short track. But they have been tangled up for 3 years now in red tape with the city of Nashville. They've been going back and forth with them and can't get certain approvals, and it's just been a slow process for them. So hopefully they'll get all that out of the way and they can start rebuilding that track. I think that was one of the most historic short tracks on the circuit, right up there with Wilkesboro and Martinsville. They ran Nashville for years and years. I think Darrell Waltrip won about every race they had there. But it was a great track, and it would be great to see them go back there, just like we go to Bristol and Martinsville and Richmond. But, it's been a slow go for them. So hopefully they'll get that worked out pretty soon, and we can get another short track on the schedule.
All right, we officially start the second half of the season. This is race number 19, so 18 are in the book. And right now, Kyle Larson leads the playoff race with Denny Hamlin second. Then Joey Logano sits at 16, and he's got a 13-point lead over number 17, Bubba Wallace. What one or two things surprised you the most about the playoff standings through the first half?
Well, I think it's the fact that you got a two-time champion like Logano down there at the bottom, fighting to get his way in. Hasn't won a race yet this year, so I expect that to happen pretty soon. But, yeah, I think he struggled a little bit, and you've had some other big names struggle some too, while your young guys continue to sort of rise to the top. Christopher Bell gets another win last week for him. Denny Hamlin's hanging around. The guy I would keep an eye on, Larson, of course, going to be a favorite, but the guy that's quietly creeping up on everybody a little bit is Chase Elliott. He won a race earlier in the year, but he keeps clicking off top fives, and he keeps hanging around. And this is a race where he won at 2 years ago at Nashville. I expect him to keep getting better and better, and I think come playoff time he's going to be one of the guys to watch.
Kyle Busch, is he going to win a race?
Boy, it sure doesn't look like it the way they're running. I mean, that team is just out to lunch. They made a big move this week. And you know what? I think you almost had to expect this when Kyle went over there. I know he won 3 races last year, but that was early in the year. There were circumstances involved in those, and then he just struggled the whole second half. And Richard Childress Racing is an organization that really has been lagging behind the other elite teams for several years now. And you thought that plugging Kyle Busch in there would raise that organization up, but it hasn't happened. It's had the reverse effect. They've sort of pushed him down, and right now it seems like they can't do anything right. So they made a competition move this week. Hopefully that gets them going, but I think the sport needs Kyle Busch to start winning some races and be there at the top.
Absolutely. I mean, he's just one of those faces, one of those names that's got to be good in this era of top names dropping out for one reason or another. You have a great weekend, my friend. Always a pleasure. We'll talk to you next week before we go to the road race in Chicago.
All right, guys. Have a good one.
Thank you. Be right back here on Sports Talk.